For Kevin Stefanski to say the first time that Shedeur Sanders had taken a snap with the starters, with the ones, was in this game is malpractice. At no point in time, and this is what I said, Ocho, so at no point in time, so you don't think Dillon Gabriel could possibly get hurt. He can't possibly bring a knee, bring a shoulder, get concussion. There's no possible way anything could possibly go wrong that you want to get Shedeur like one reps with the ones, 2 reps with the ones. I ain't saying split it 50-50. I understand that. But even when John was taking the majority of the reps, John, if we did 10 reps in a period, the backup would take 2. Just in case. So for Shedeur Sanders, here we are in week 11. The man got drafted in May. And at no point in time had he taken one snap with the ones. It's very, very disappointing.
Well, here we go. Start up the excuses for Shedeur Sanders as the media is going in fanboy mode. Clearly, Shannon Sharpe is making excuses for Shedeur Sanders' poor play. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Shedeur Sanders having his struggles in the media making excuses for his poor play. Shedeur Sanders came in relief for a concussed Dillon Gabriel while the Browns were up 16-10. However, the Ravens went on to win the game by the score of 23-16. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So, here it is. Are the excuses for Shedeur Sanders' poor debut reasonable? Heck no, they are not reasonable. Shedeur Sanders played awful, and there's really no other way to put around it. Anybody that tries to say Shedeur Sanders played decent, you're not being honest with yourselves in the mirror. That's like someone having a bunch of acne on their face and telling them that they look great. Shedeur Sanders absolutely stunk up the joint for the Cleveland Browns, and he was a major reason why the Cleveland Browns lost the game. Was Shedeur Sanders the only reason why they lost that game? No. But was Shedeur Sanders a big reason why the Browns were losing in that game? Absolutely. Anytime a backup quarterback comes into the game while having a 6-point lead in the second half, the expectation is that he's going to be a game manager and nurse his way into a win. And what did Shedeur Sanders do? He did absolutely nothing on offense and gave the Baltimore Ravens the game. Shedeur Sanders threw a horrible looking interception on 3rd and 10 during one of his first drives in the game. He was absolutely thrown it to no one. Yes, I know the protection broke down, but I also blame down Shedeur Sanders because he missed that protection call. I know people are going to blame the center for why Shedeur Sanders had a free blitzer come right at him, but the truth of the matter is, if Shedeur Sanders did the proper work in the film room, he would have been able to see that safety coming. Shedeur Sanders ends up taking a hard hit. It ends up getting intercepted. That leads into a field goal for the Baltimore Ravens, but nevertheless, though, it's still in the fourth quarter. The Browns have a 3-point lead, and Shedeur Sanders still isn't able to do anything offensively. After Shedeur Sanders completed his first 2 passes, Shedeur Sanders then went 2 of 14. Anytime a quarterback goes 2 for 14 in the passing line, that is unacceptable. I don't care who that is. And yes, I know Shedeur Sanders doesn't have great receivers to work with. Yes, I understand Shedeur Sanders doesn't really have a lot of help in Cleveland. Guess what? Dillon Gabriel didn't have a lot of help in Cleveland. Let's say if Dillon Gabriel was the one who went 4 of 16 for 47 yards and an interception while taking 2 sacks, you think people would be feeling kind towards Dillon Gabriel and feeling sympathetic for him? Of course not. Everyone will go ahead and rip Dillon Gabriel for his struggles if that were to happen, which rightfully should be the case. Shedeur Sanders, on the other hand, gets a free pass from the media because they feel like, oh, he came into the game ice cold. What do you expect them to do? But we have literally never held the standard for any other quarterback. Yes, was Shedeur Sanders put in a tough spot? Absolutely. I don't deny it. Do I think the Cleveland Browns set up Shedeur Sanders for failure? Yes, but I also think that Shedeur Sanders didn't do a good job doing what he could control, and obviously Shedeur Sanders had the victim mindset. I know a lot of his fanboys are going to talk about how the Browns offensive line was terrible, but look, whenever you have a quarterback that's holding the ball for over 4 seconds in the pocket, that's a quarterback issue. That's not an offensive line issue. In the NFL, if the offensive line is holding their blocks for 2.5 seconds, that means they already did their job. Shedeur Sanders held onto the ball too long, and when you have a quarterback that holds onto the ball too long, well, that's just going to, quite frankly, not cut it. It is unacceptable for Shedeur Sanders to play as poorly as he did off the bench. Now, do I think Shedeur Sanders can learn from this experience and get better? Absolutely. But it's going to take Shedeur Sanders adjusting his mindset and saying to himself, hey, I need to go out there and play better. Let's not go ahead and blame other people for my failures. I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders did or didn't take that position, but I'm getting on the media for enabling this kind of behavior because they're the ones that are blaming everyone else around Shedeur Sanders instead of actually blaming Shedeur Sanders for his own struggles. I also want to show you guys this clip of Rex Ryan trashing Shedeur Sanders for his immature actions after the game. He was talking about how Shedeur Sanders sat on the bench by himself and talked about how he needed to go ahead and hang out with Lamar Jackson after the game and talk like a proper person would. Roll the film.
Something there just doesn't seem right, Rex.
No, 100% it doesn't seem right. And look, here's the thing. And is it the kid or is it how you have treated this guy? Like, I don't know where the fine line is, but there's, certainly a disconnect. Like when I see like this kid on the bench, this is after the game. Number one, it's not the 7th game of the World Series. You lost a game that nobody cares about. All right. And by the way, Lamar Jackson, a 2-time MVP, was looking for you. Like, go back in there, visit with Lamar or whatever, and then go back in with your teammates. Why is there such a disconnect here? Is it the kid's fault? Is it the organization's fault? I have no idea. All right. But I am going to say this. The only energy I saw in the entire stadium was when that kid popped on the field.
Right.
When Shedeur walked on the field, you know who was wanting to see him play?
The fans.
The dang fans. And you know who never cared? His teammates.
Interesting take from Rex Ryan. Shedeur Sanders certainly acted like a diva in that moment by sitting by himself on the bench. I understand why Shedeur Sanders did it. It was frustrating for Shedeur Sanders to play as poorly as he did. Heck, I felt frustrated for Shedeur Sanders playing as poorly as he did. But at the end of the day, you got to be a good sport and shake the opposing quarterback's hand. You got to say, you know what? You got me this time. I'll be better the next time. And then you go ahead and ask Lamar Jackson how to get better in your game. But instead, you just want to sulk on the sidelines and sit by yourself. That's not the way how things are supposed to be done. And also, here's the thing for Shedeur Sanders too. If Shedeur Sanders knew that he was going to be set up for failure, then why did you celebrate coming into the game during the middle of the third quarter? I remember when Dillon Gabriel got injured and Shedeur Sanders came in, he started waving his arms up and getting the crowd fired up. If that's the mentality of a guy that was set up to fail, then why did he go ahead and do those things? It just doesn't quite frankly add up. And Shedeur Sanders played very poorly. If Shedeur Sanders looked at things from a reasonable mindset, he's going to go ahead and say, I played poorly. I didn't put in the work that I need to put in for the week, and I'm going to get better from it. That's all Shedeur Sanders needs to do. We know Shedeur Sanders has the talent to play football at a somewhat high level. I'm not going to say Shedeur Sanders has the capability to be an elite quarterback, but do I think he could at least be a decent quarterback in the NFL? Yeah, I really think he could if he put his mind right into it. But if Shedeur Sanders wants to continue living that celebrity lifestyle, well, guess what? You're not going to get good results on the football field. It's really quite that simple. I hope Shedeur Sanders can use this debut as a learning lesson for him moving forward. It seems like Shedeur Sanders is going to get the start for the Cleveland Browns next week, especially if Dillon Gabriel cannot clear concussion protocol by then. That's going to be an opportunity for Shedeur Sanders to play well, and if he plays well against the Raiders, well then I'll give Shedeur Sanders his credit. But I also feel like I have to go ahead and criticize Shedeur Sanders because he went 4-16 for 47 yards and an interception, took 2 sacks. He basically gave the Cleveland Browns no hope of even competing in the ball game. I know that Shedeur Sanders was put in a tough position. I don't know how many times I have to keep repeating myself that, but guess what? A lot of NFL backup quarterbacks are put in tough positions when they have to come into the game. So that is why the excuses for Shedeur Sanders' poor debut are not reasonable, as most NFL backups are not put in a position to get tons of reps in practice throughout the week. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinNasTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinNasTran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinNasTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video. Comment down below. Check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.